What is reverb? Reverb is one of those audio phenomena that surround us from the moment that we're born. We hear it every day of our lives in every space that we're in. Reverb is the interaction of sound waves with physical surfaces that results in sound heard in the space after the source has stopped sounding. I mean, that's a mouthful. But reverb basically is a sound that remains in the room after the other sound has stopped. So if you hit a snare drum, what you're hearing are reflections coming off the walls and different surfaces back to your ears. That's reverb. It's an extremely complex reflection and diffusion pattern of thousands of sound waves interacting within a space and arriving at our ears at different times and intensities. There are two aspects to this. The first is reflection. And this is sound that emanates from a source, reflects off a surface, and then comes to our ears. There's an amount of time that takes, so it arrives at a different time from the original source. The second aspect is diffusion. And this is a sound breaking up and scattering as it's reflected off a surface, and those scattered reflections then return to our ears. Now, reverb is different from echo, which is a distinct, discrete repeat of a sound. All rooms and spaces have reverb, although it may not be audible, and our brains derive a lot of information about our environment and our surroundings based on the space's reverb, such as the distance from the sound source, the size of the space we're in, the location within the space, and much more. What affects the sound of natural reverb? One thing is the number of sound waves, which affects the density of the reverb or how thick the reverb sounds. Another thing is the type of surfaces, which affect the sound of the reverb reflections as they're coming back to our ears. If you have a soft surface, we're going to get a softer tonal quality. A hard surface is going to sound brighter. The distance to the surface affects the length of the reverb time, how long it takes for those reverb reflections to come back to our ears. Some digital reverbs break the effect down into two different components. The first is called early reflections, which are discrete or separate reflections that occur within a 5 to 100 millisecond time frame. They're early in the reverb time. The second part of the reverb in those digital reverbs is called the tail or the reverberant field. And this is that wash of diffuse reflections that come back and comprise the main decay of the reverb effect. There are four types of reverb effects used in audio production or music. The first are natural reverb effects, which result from using a real room. You place a speaker inside the room, you place a microphone inside the room, and you actually record the ambience inside that room. The second are electromechanical devices, which are devices that simulate reverb mechanically. Examples would be spring reverbs and plate reverbs. Another type are algorithmic or digital reverbs, which use a mathematical algorithm to recreate the effect of reverb. Finally, we have convolution reverb, which captures the reverb characteristics of a real space and then applies those characteristics to an audio signal. Now, reverb is a very popular effect in the studio. The first use of artificial reverb is credited to Bill Putnam on a recording with the Harmonicats in 1947. His effect was created by using a speaker and a microphone placed inside a bathroom to add ambience to a harmonica part within the recording. Let's listen to some examples of different types of reverbs applied to a snare drum hit. Here's an example of a room reverb. Here's an example of a chamber reverb. A hall reverb, which recreates the sound of a concert hall. A cathedral would likely be one of the largest types of reverb effects you'd have. A plate reverb is an early type of artificial reverb. There are also types of reverb that don't try to recreate the natural sound of reverb in a room. An example would be a gated reverb. These are just a few examples of the many types of reverbs that are available to us when we're recording and mixing our audio productions. If you're interested in learning more about audio concepts like this, visit us at sweetwater.com's news and research page and check out the other videos in this playlist.